He's been busy. So call to order at 5:30. And this is being recorded and it will be on, does it convert to YouTube? Or does it just go as a recording on our?
It's live on the Zoom link right now, and we're recording it to upload tomorrow to the website. Sorry, to YouTube.
Okay, good. And do we know, and we have a guest? We're letting guests in, and I don't see Joyce either.
We have one guest, no Counselor Moore at this McCoy or Moore.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to proceed because our meeting starts at 5:30, and I know that Councilor McCoy had to go back to Edmonton to zoom in from there, so I don't know where Councilor McCoy is at this, or Moore at this point, but I will have called to order, and we have the agenda to approve. And are there, I believe there is an addition. I think council is aware of what the addition is for discussion or just for direction. And Councilor Windsor, you brought that up, and so
yeah. Are we going to put the salary grid in as what is it, 5.1? What is the number? As 3.1? No,
well,
4.1.
And what I'd like to just get it out of the way. So, and I have to leave at 6:15, Deputy Mayor. So I'm going to ask you to take over when I leave. I have to be somewhere and I can't not be there. So just so you're aware of that. And if we could, because
I thought there wasn't any grid tonight.
we're gonna the recommendation is to add it as 4.1 so that we can just set the information that we want to forward to the next committee of whole meeting, or have council approve it. All the stuff tonight's going to council. I've made Ethan aware as well that we were just gonna to get some sense as to what information will come to committee of the whole about this, and that would be all the information the FPC has had, and it would be a recommendation along with the other two on here tonight. So do I have by consensus to add the salary grid for recommendation to council of content? What the conversation is, just what content is going to be sent to the committee of whole for April 15th. Deputy Mayor?
No sound.
Sorry, is the salary grid not in a committee right now?
No.
Well, it's here at committee of the whole.
Oh, I thought it was at FMC or something.
Well, we had it was, and then we sent it to they sent it to council to send to committee of whole, which we did last, I think it was 2 meetings ago, because we had, because it wasn't last meeting, but it was 2 meetings ago, and then we set the committee of the whole meeting. So the priority was the salary grid, and then pedestrian connectivity and level of service, and then the JUPA, which is the joint use agreement with our schools. So we just, I did let Ethan know that was what we'd suggest tonight, is to send back to council what content you want to come to the next committee of the whole meeting. So that's all that would be. It's not a big discussion about the grid. It's about the content that the FPC was sending or had dealt with and had reviewed and would forward to the committee of the whole.
Okay, well, I'm okay with that coming. That's what FPC was supposed to do.
Yeah, so we're here to, they've asked for it to be a committee of the whole. It was going to be here tonight. Now we'll send it back to council from here to just have the FPC content come to the meeting on April 6th with the salary grid discussion. So add that as 4.1 because it should be a quick discussion. Then 4.2 will be pedestrian connectivity and 4.3 will be level of service. Councillor Moore?
Could you say what it is that you want because we can bring it anytime. Why is it on the agenda when it was taken off the agenda? I don't understand what it is that this point that you're putting on the agenda is, since I'm the chair of the FPC.
Yeah. So it's at committee of the whole, so it's been relinquished to the committee of the whole. And by
No.
relinquishing
No,
committee-
this is an
Counselor Moore.
administrative.
Councillor Moore,
Okay,
you'll-
let me talk after it then.
well, you can
We
put
have-
your hand up and you can talk afterwards. So what we're just trying to do is get the content that will come to the committee of the whole. And that would be all the same content that the FPC had dealt with. So it's just directing that to council tonight to send that to committee of the whole again. Councillor Moore?
Yes, we don't have the content ready for you tonight.
No,
Why can't we just leave it as it was? It will come, but it's not on the agenda tonight. And the agenda is an administrative document. And I'll be voting against this because there is no reason why we need to be talking about it without the CAO and without the staff that we need to be able to talk about it.
we're not talking about it, and we're not asking for the content tonight. We're sending it back to council to ask for the things that the FPC dealt with to come back to committee of the whole. So the topic did, but we didn't identify the content, whereas the pedestrian connectivity was obviously the plan is the content. So we're just asking for that content to come to committee of the whole April 16th with the topic. That's all it is tonight. It's not
We
convoluted.
already have that motion. We don't need another one.
Yeah, we're asking to add it just for that conversation, to send it back to council for that discussion. So the discussion of what we're asking is that will be had at council. Councillor Windsor.
Thank you, Mayor Hunter. The council made this a priority, that it should have come back. It should have come back with the information that we had at FPC. There's no reason that it wasn't included with the information that was in the FPC. Now, if administration wasn't able to attend in order to discuss that, that's one thing, but I'm not even sure that that's necessary, because the reason that it came from SPC and was referred to council to recommend to be referred to the committee of the whole was because of a philosophical problem and a lack of ability to come to consensus at FPC, and we need to make some philosophical decisions about this. My intent with having this on the agenda is simply to have a motion to bring back the information that went to FPC, because that's what FPC made the decision on. And that's what we should be looking at, is the information that FPC had at their disposal to refer to council. That's what the decision was based on.
Councillor McCoy and then Councillor Baswick.
Hi, sorry. I think everyone should know that a lot of what we were told at the meeting was verbal. So, but the stuff that we were given to, I can collect it between now and whenever and give you guys a copy of what we received. But as far as what was said, I think that it was Ethan that did the most of the talking, correct? Councillor Moore?
Actually, if I may, it was Stephanie actually that told us about how long the process would take and about how it was set up last time and what the facilitator did. And mostly it's the time frame. It is a long process because FPC, the request for a proposal would go out and it would take months for them. And then when the facilitator gets a hold of it, it's a long process again to fit everything together. So the earliest we could have it would be 2025. And they weren't even sure that it would be finished by then. the first part doesn't cost anything except staff time because it's just putting
So
everything
more,
together.
we don't need the rundown tonight. I'm sorry. It's just,
Well, okay,
all we're
but
trying to do is
there's
decide if
nothing
it's gonna go on the agenda, so. I
When-
did tell
when
you
it's-
guys read that I did talk to Ethan. He didn't object to it in any response, and that's all I'm asking is if it can be. If it can go back to council or Councillor Windsor, presented this to me, and then I asked Ethan that, or advised Ethan that if we can just get some direction on it tonight, what we'd like back. So what we're after here tonight is just get, if people agree that it can be on the agenda tonight or not, and there'll be a vote on that, Councillor Moore, so you can
I know.
shake your head all you like.
Yes,
And,
okay, I'll shake it
then-
some more then.
yeah, thank you, yeah. Councillor Baswick had his hand up.
Thank you. You can hear me, I believe.
Yep.
I look at this is a administrative document. We were advised that the grid was not going to be presented tonight by administration for whatever reason. So, we're wasting a lot of time on something that wasn't supposed to be on the agenda, and that's my point. And I'm thinking it'll come back when it comes back. It's being prepared properly. So why are we doing this?
Because we accept, Councillor Baswick, we accept additions to agenda if there's consensus for that. And there was an intent and a discussion. Ethan's not unaware of this. He knows the discussion that's coming. And so it's whether or not, or we have consensus or not to accept it. So it's, and I'll take one more question. I'll take two, one from Deputy Mayor, one from Councillor McCoy, and then we'll have consensus or not to go forward with this item, just as to direct some information to council.
Not quite sure what we're arguing about. My understanding is that we want to bring this grid into this agenda to simply send it, not to have discussion on it, but to send it to the committee of the whole for discussion at some point.
Well, we have it sent, we just want to have all the content that FPC had at the time. So that's really one sentence, one consensus.
But
And then
with
we
F-
get it with the same discussion the FPC likely had. So it's just the content that really is the issue. And if that, you're right, I don't want to belabor this. It's not a really complicated thing. And do you have a follow-up to that, Deputy Mayor, and then Joyce, and then we'll.
Yeah, I'm getting very confused. So FPC sent this to committee of the whole or back
To
to
council.
council, and council sent it to committee of the whole. And now we're
And then-
sending it to committee of the whole again?
And then we prioritized it. And,
Right.
and we,
sent-
and the priority information, I guess, is what the conversation is, just that it goes back to council to clarify the information that needs to come to committee of the whole. And then it gets dealt with April 16th or May or maybe 7 committee of the whole meetings later. But I know that's not funny, but I was just bugging you, Deputy Mayor, that we understand that. So,
I'll say 7 more meetings.
Councillor McCoy, and then we'll just go around for consensus, because like I said,
Okay. I'm in consensus with it. I just wanted to explain maybe that part of why I made the motion I made last night not to approve COLA was because I can't do it without some more
We're
information.
not
Yeah,
talking about
that's not-
COLA.
that's not
Okay.
relative to this, though, yeah. So I'll go around for consensus, whether or not we add this. Deputy Mayor,
Yeah, if we're just bringing it in to send it back to committee of the whole, I think it's gonna get there anyway, so it can come in for that motion.
Councillor Williams,
Yep, I'm good with it.
Councillor Windsor, I don't know, I'm forgetting your name tonight, but it's
That's
on your
okay.
screen.
Yeah, that's okay. I'm good with it. I brought it forward, so yes, I'm absolutely good with it.
I think it's where he's sitting.
Councillor Baswick, yeah, I think it is too. It's
No,
okay. Counselor Moore,
No,
Counselor McCoy,
Yes, sorry, I had you on my,
okay. So with that, then, that's consensus for the agenda. To add that as 3.1, and we were gonna bump everything down and get it, well, I hoped we get out of the way quick, but not with that conversation, I guess. January 9th, 2024, committee of the whole meeting notes. Has everybody read them and reviewed them and agree to the content, or is there any questions or comments?
Yep.
So by consensus, we approve the January 9th, 2024 committee of the whole meeting minutes, I guess, or meeting notes, what it calls on there, and looked at the agenda. Meeting notes. Okay, and then we have the January or March 4th, 2024 committee of the whole meeting notes. Are there any comments or questions on that? And they have been reviewed. So by consensus, we agree that the March 4th, 2024 committee of the whole meeting notes are accepted. Committee of the whole business, item 4. Point 1 is the salary grid review, a quick, and I'll let Councillor Windsor speak to that quick and the content.
I'll just make a motion that we direct the information that was provided to FPC regarding this issue, all the information that was provided to FPC with regarding this issue be put on the top priority for the next committee of the whole meeting, which is, do we know when that is?
April 16th at 5:30.
April 16th, 2024.
Okay. So there were contents and document and presentations, so it would be the same as FPC received, since FPC couldn't come to a consensus on it. But that's not got to be part of our agreement, just that that's why we're dealing with it now, and the same information should be there. So are there any comments or questions on that? So then do we have consensus to to ensure that the information FPC received will be forwarded to the next committee of the whole meeting as the package, that's the same package of information, so council can review it as a whole body of council.
Yep, I'm good with that.
Okay, Deputy Mayor, Councillor Windsor,
Yes.
Councillor Baswick, Councillor Moore.
No.
Councillor McCoy.
yes.
Okay, see how easy we can make things? Well done. I probably took 2 minutes, but committee, so pedestrian connectivity is is our next item. And a big document that was presented initially at our workshop in October. And so Craig or Nicole, I don't know who's got, authority here based on being both director level to tell me who's going to speak to this and how.
Yeah,
and
I think on this one I can help guide us through,
Okay.
at least as far as it all goes, because I don't have a whole lot to say other than we've had a chance to review the pedestrian connectivity master plan that was presented to us. And Kelsey's here to help sort of facilitate the conversation and sort of field council's inquiries as we go through this, and anything else that comes up, I'm sure I can speak up and help with, but I think Kelsey's got it from here.
All right, thanks, Craig. Hi, Kelsey.
Hi, thanks for having me tonight. Yeah, so I'll give you a little refresher. So funded in full by the Active Transportation Fund, the draft pedestrian connectivity master plan was developed in 2023 and sets out a comprehensive strategy for enhancing the pedestrian infrastructure in Didsbury. The primary objectives in the plan were to address connectivity, safety, and accessibility, as well as to evaluate our existing infrastructure and guide our future renewal and maintenance. This plan involved a heavy engagement component, so we gathered a lot of input from residents and various community stakeholders. And the final product is designed to serve as both a planning and an asset management tool to guide our future capital renewal and maintenance within the Didsbury's pedestrian network. The tool will help to identify future capital projects, guide our budget recommendations, and create opportunities to engage with community partners as the town continues to grow. The future implementation of these recommendations will enhance the pedestrian experience and enhance active mobility within the town. And once approved, the plan will improve the town's eligibility for securing grant funding. And as it states within the document, all components of the plan are for planning purposes only and subject to annual budget approvals and ongoing planning efforts from the town. So the town may add, remove, or reorder activities based on the needs of the community at the time of implementation. So I'll open it up to you guys for discussion and we can field some of your questions.
Okay, so just so I just want to qualify, I'm looking over here because that's where my other computer screen is with the plan. It's not that I'm ignoring anybody that's speaking, so just so you know. So are there questions, comments? Well, it's got to be one.
It's Joyce. I had a question.
Okay.
It was quite an expensive plan, and I think I asked this already at a meeting or something, but it was an expensive plan. I think it was very well done. But it recommends, it recommends us spending, 100,000 a year or more on sidewalk replacement and repair because of the condition of some areas. And I know we haven't done that. And I would like to know how we're going to use this if we're not going to fund it.
That, I don't know that Kelsey can answer how council funds their budget and their items, but I would offer
No,
that.
I was thinking more that it didn't, I know it hasn't been received by council, but if we accept it and send it to council and council votes in favor of it, is the town going to ask us for money to take the recommendations of the study and enact them?
So can I do what Deputy Mayor does to me often, is rephrase that?
Yes,
Will
you sure can.
will administration come on a regular basis or add this into the multi-year capital plan as for the continuity of the plan to be addressed as per the recommendations and thoughts in the plan?
Yeah, so I do believe the plan is to implement it in the multi-year capital plan, knowing that it is still going to come each year to budget. So we now know we have this need and this deficit in our capital maintenance of our existing infrastructure. And we have this need for new safety implementations and connectivity. So this plan is really great at highlighting those needs. How we fund it is completely up to us. If we fund it is completely up to us, and that will always come to council's table.
Thank you. Further to that, I guess, Mayor, is we have so many studies that we've done over the years and that we've paid thousands of dollars for, and they just sit on a shelf and they don't get enacted. And I thought this was a really good request and a very good outcome came from it. And I think we need to find the money to make those recommendations come true, or we'll just get farther and farther behind.
Yeah, once it's on the multi-year capital plan, I think Nicole too can attest to that. We have what now is well, I like to call it the extension of the Jets Park program. So it's always there for us to look at, and it's always there for the funding. And I know administration often, well, they will. I know Nicole's even bumped years to get that, that plan. It's still there. We can still see it, and it's up to council to fund it or not. And it's the council of the day that has the will to approve the funding. That's really, it's on council, but it's on the multi-year capital plan, so it's visual. And I see your hand, Councillor Williams, but Nicole put her screen on, so I think she wants to speak a bit to that.
Sure. So, I think that the Memorial Complex Outline Plan is a good example of where a similar plan was developed, a master plan for the refurbishment or enhancement of that area next to the Memorial Park or Memorial Complex. And it's between a 5 to 7 year stage project, and council's funded as there was funding available, or as a priority came up, or something was covered by grant funding like the skate park was. And so Kelsey referenced us being able to apply for grants to help enhance this pedestrian connectivity. And so we're always on the lookout for grants. And when we have a project that's kind of shovel ready or ready to go on a shelf, then we will apply for that grant. And then if we're successful and council decides to proceed with it, then it bumps ahead further on the list or closer to the front of the list than it would normally. So, I think that we are using plans. They just, they don't happen one right after the other because other priorities come up that council has to address or that admin has to address within the community. But it doesn't mean that these things won't happen. So hopefully that answers a little bit more.
The will of council and the budget of council.
Really it is.
Councillor Williams.
Thank you, Mayor. This is more of a comment. I'm quite pleased with this plan. And to back up what Nicole just said, I think this will make her case stronger for some grants that are available for the town. And this will give us as council a starting point when we're talking about budget, like what projects the community has highlighted that's a need. So I just want to say well done, and I'm quite pleased with this plan.
Great comments. Other comments? Well, they both went up at the same time, so I'm going to go alphabetical. Councillor Baswick and then Councillor Moore.
Oh, thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to say that this is really a good comprehensive plan, and kudos to Kelsey. That's very, very well done, very well laid out, easy to read, easy to point out things that we should be doing, and I like it. Thanks, Kelsey.
Thanks for that. Councillor Moore.
Yes, I would say that as well. I really appreciate that it provides all of the ways that we need to be able to implement it as well, with the budget for the multi-year capital plan, and the details of the things that we need to do, so that the possibility of the grants. I think it's so comprehensive that I'm excited about this and can't wait for it to be approved.
I have a question, and I know we talked about this at the workshop, because I really appreciate the top 15 priorities in there. And how did those come about, Kelsey? I know there was maybe a conversation about how we could make sure those were there, or how you could make sure those were there based on administrative feedback.
Yeah, so initially when the consultants built the plan, they had sectioned it out. You can see in the plan, they've sectioned it out by different areas. And so we asked them, because it just went area by area, and we said, well, how are we supposed to know which we should be doing first, right? Because we probably shouldn't just tackle one area. We should look at where we really need to invest. And so they broke it down into the top 15 action items that we should take. So
That's great. That was a good idea, because if everybody would do that for us, it'd be awesome, right? We just had to bring it to the budget and say, okay, instead of negotiate over things. And we might find ourselves negotiating on some of that based on funding, but at least we have it there in front of us. Is there anything else from anyone? Well, thank you. Oh, Councillor Windsor.
Do you want a motion to accept it? The connectivity master plan?
To send it to council to send it to council for approval.
Review and approval? Okay, well, I'm happy to make that motion.
Yeah, it'll be an action, but we have consensus on the action to send it to council for review and approval. And again, that was a great process, and there were lots of community engagement, and thanks, Kelsey, for your work on that, and the rest of the administrative team who had a part of that. So I think it's exciting. It'll be exciting to be able to announce the pedestrian connectivity plan to people and get them excited about it as well, to our residents. Okay, by consensus, Deputy Mayor. Councillor Williams. Councillor Windsor.
Yes.
Councillor Baswick.
And it's entering with, it's interesting with no inquiries or in-depth questions. That tells you that how good this report really is. So I'm on.
We did have it presented at the workshop in October, so you might have missed some questions, but that's okay.
Not talking about the result.
This makes it free. Yeah, this makes it much more fluent, like to have it in advance and then bring it for a second look. Councillor Moore
Yes.
and Councillor McCoy.
Yes, and could we put a date on it, like when it, so it doesn't come back like a year from now?
Well, I think that'll
I'm
be
not
at
saying it will,
council. I think we'll bring that to count, like at council, will that's what the review at council will be, in the direction and then approval.
Oh, no, I get that. I'm just saying that, will you ensure that it's on this upcoming agenda?
I think that's the intent, Craig and Kelsey and Nicole, who can direct on Town of Didsbury, Luana.
Yeah, that's easy.
Okay,
That's not a problem.
so we'll.
Thank you.
Thanks. Great. Because we probably didn't have enough things for the agenda this time, so we'll add another, which is a good one to add. All right, we can move on to the service level document. And Craig, I'll put it in your court of administration and you can direct it from there.
I think I got the easiest job all evening. I get to welcome us to the service level conversation and hand it over to Kelsey for the conversation.
Isn't that different than council, Craig? Because you're always the one on the hot seat.
It's a little bit, yeah. I'm talking way less. I love this.
We're happy for you tonight. All right, Kelsey.
Okay. So again, a little refresher. So the draft level of service document was prepared in 2023. It was highlighted as a key action item within the strategically managed infrastructure section of the strategic plan. And it outlines the external services presently provided by the town of Didsbury. So the level of service document is intended similarly to the pedestrian plan to serve as a tool for prioritizing budget allocations during the budget cycle. The document outlines the town's current levels of service, enabling council to identify gaps as the community's needs shift. And similarly, it's intended to serve as framework in the asset management process as assets evaluated annually for replacement contribute towards maintaining these levels of service. So throughout the year, council obviously adjusts service levels as they strive to meet the goals set out in the strategic plan. And so rather than bringing the document for amendment each time a service level changes, this tool would best be adopted as a living document, which would be reviewed by council once per year to describe a summary of the service level changes that have occurred throughout the year. So I'll open it up for discussion and we can answer any questions you may have.
Questions, anyone? Councillor Moore?
And maybe Craig or Kelsey, or I don't know who would, the GIS that we're looking to get, how does that fit into this asset management plan? I know it does, but I'm just wondering how it enhances it as we go forward.
For that question. So we're talking about a level of service document that sort of identifies the different services that the town provides. It's not so much, GIS will feed into asset management feeds into a level of service delivery system. But the GIS component specifically is kind of instrumental to almost all of these things. It will help us deliver the services more efficiently and more user friendly. So residents will be able to access the same kind of, well, their version and level of documentation and information. So I don't know if I answered your question specifically though. I feel like I'm at council again. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're
You'd have
welcome.
missed it. Other questions? I sent out a document today to everybody, and I'm wondering, whoever can answer this with administration, how do you put a dollar figure then to the level of service? So, are these base levels of service? If we enhance them, how do we tie the financial impact to the level of service with this document without having an additional document or category under it that shows where we're at with service level and then how we increase it and how it impact the budget?
I think that's a great question. Obviously not being the financial person, I wouldn't want to speak too much to how to go about doing it, but I philosophically from an organizational sort of approach, we kind of have a cost per hour that it takes us to deliver the services because our normal sort of suite of services changes so rapidly, seasonally, situationally, that it's really kind of hard to get too down to the level. I think that finances come and oppose on a system. So I obviously I'm going to wait for Ethan to chime in on some of this topic, but yeah, I think the financial stuff is harder to tie to the suite of services directly because of the variability in that suite of services that gets delivered. So
Yeah,
I hope that helps.
but I guess that's where I see your hand, Councillor Coyle, just finish this. That's where I was seeing this document evolving into, and I did ask that, and I think everybody saw Ethan's answer. If you haven't, he did answer it, but I'm interested. So we're at a service level with this document, and then if we decrease or increase somehow, this document will have to change, and that could be right or wrong. And then we'd have to have a document that ties the finances to the service level that we're either funding or defunding or reducing in funding. Is that a correct interpretation of how what might come next? And I'm not pinning anybody to that answer, but in your answer about Ethan, that's I appreciate that. But when I saw this, this is the existing service level we're at. Is that what we're saying right now?
It's very close. I mean, we're here for council's review of the document to make sure that we've captured your understanding of our level of service accurately. Obviously, we're always open to refining the level of service document to better define how we are and what we are delivering for our services. Tying the dollar values, obviously, I think because we're broken down so departmentally, if we were looking at a service delivery improvement in Department X, it's very easy to understand the cost of that investment to improve that delivery of service. And what you would hope to expect at the end of that decision would be that we'd be able to come back and say, well, we've met the indicator that you were looking to improve. So whether it be wait times to get into a facility or for a callback from administration, if you were looking to improve those, we'd be able to come back and report on what the improvement was. But I think what this document gives us is an understanding of what we're capable of doing currently with the cost that we're currently investing for. And are we happy with all individually and discretely, departmentally, how that's being done? If not, can we make an improvement? What does that cost? And can we measure how it changed? So I don't know if keeping a spreadsheet that tabulates the cost of the services we deliver is as important as trying to measure the changes in service that get made. So I hope that helps.
Yeah, and that, yeah, just to finish, that's what I see. You know, the administrative side of that, I think that's very real and very correct and accurate, Craig. And then from the council side, I always look at it from the budget side. So, and service level, of course, but what is the cost to improve that? But I'll leave it at that. And Councilor McCoy had a question. Thanks for that answer.
Yeah, Mayor, I have two questions now. The one is, when I read the document that you shared, to me, it looks like the numbers are in the line based on what services they're actually doing and the cost of them, right? Or like every line didn't have dollars in it. I'm wondering if it's actually the budgeted amount for the year or if it's actually one-time expenditure. I'd like clarification on that. You can't probably give it now, but my other question is to go back to Kelsey's for clarification. I thought I heard her say that once a year we would look at it and we would learn what service levels had changed. And my understanding is that service levels don't change throughout a year without council approval. I'm not sure. Is that? Could I get Kelsey just to clarify? Maybe I got the message wrong.
Yeah, so exactly to your point, as council changes service levels, we would be kind of keeping note of what has changed so that we don't need to bring the document every time council makes a change for approval. But once a year, we would collect all the changes that you as a council have made and then summarize it for you.
Well, that's good to know. You just didn't say it was council that was making those changes. You just said the changes would come to us at the end of the year. I just wanted to ensure the process was through council. Thank you, Kelsey.
Anything else from anyone? Deputy Mayor?
I like the document. I think it's in depth and I think it ties nice into the asset management, and I think GSI, or whatever the software nomenclature is, will be a big help to all of this. And I'm looking forward to getting all of this stuff implemented and working as it should. So good job. I know we had input on this, and for those that put this document together, I really like it.
Councillor Williams, thanks for that, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. I just have a question. You said that once a year this be brought back with any changes throughout the year. I was wondering if we could have it mid-year, then end of the year.
You can have whatever we like. But it's
Just to show like if we have any level of service increases halfway through the year, then the document is brought back to council. We look at it then again at the end of the year.
Craig, can someone answer that, or is that would that be? Go ahead. I'll let you.
Yeah, I think it comes back at council's discretion. I think appropriate time. I think budget season or late fall, that sort of time, when we're looking at how's the year wrapping up and how are we thinking about what's going to change next year, if anything. So absolutely, it's easy to bring it back. Like Kelsey mentioned, we'll keep note of any changes that occur throughout the year and bring them back so that everybody's on the same page when we're about to present some decisions to be made.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And more as a budget guide, Craig, you're speaking to. That these documents are generally for that budget guide. And when we're changing the level of service, which is generally at budget time. But Councillor Williams, if you want it to come back sooner, then we'd get a motion and see if that.
Yeah, in the future, if I like Mr. Fox said, if it's council distraction, so if I feel like this should be brought back sooner, then I can make a motion at council tables.
Yeah. Anything else from anyone? Well, then we only have one item left, but I do want, I want to certainly, again, this has been on a list for a long, well, on my list for a long time, but for other people's for different amounts of time. So it's really, it really is a good feeling to see these things come about and be presented. And so we're setting up all councils and administration for success with these documents in place. And that's the focus of what we're doing here, and trying to make it as as fluent and not easy, but with things that we can do with ease without creating a lot of extra work for everybody all the time. So great 2 documents that we have here, and the consent we'd ask for then consensus from council. Do you have any closing comments, Kelsey, or on this, just because it was your 7-year plan or project that you had? Okay.
It took quite a while, but it's we're happy to have it ready for you and ready for budget season.
Yeah, it's gonna be great. So consensus to forward this level of service document to council for review, and I said approvals last time because I don't think we're gonna change our minds, so I'll send it for review and approval. Because no one can change their mind at the council meeting. Deputy Mayor said yes, Councillor Williams, Councillor Windsor,
Yes.
Councillor Moore, Councillor Bassett moved to the end of my screen, so he's next, and then Councillor McCoy. Okay, and I won't jump out right now, Deputy Mayor, there's only 1 item left. Unless you want to take over from here and kick me out. So I said I was gonna leave at 6:15, but the next item is just to set the next. So we're gonna send this service level document to March 26th as well. And then we'll set the next meeting for April 16th. And it says virtually, I think we all agree that they were virtual, these meetings, or else no one would come or some wouldn't come. So we all agreed on that. April 16th, 5:30 p.m. And we have 1 item to go there for sure. And the JUPA, I think, will be on there as well. And how we'll, by consensus, agree to that next meeting date.
I agree with that.
And I think we send out to council as well to confirm that that's the next meeting date. So everybody nod their head and I won't have to go around. And Councilor McCoy.
I agree.
Okay. All right. So this 6:17 p.m. unless there's any other comments. Thanks to all the administrative team for being here, for all our guests who showed up, for council who showed up, for Lisa who always does a great job of recording for us. And these virtual meetings don't get used to them just for committee of whole. And I'll adjourn by consensus. Anybody disagree? Okay, it's 6:17 p.m. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Have a good night.
And go read those documents again for the council meeting.
Yeah.